Today's show is brought to you in part by today's sponsor, your local Metro Detroit Best Choice Roofing. In my mind, there's one choice for roofing around here, and I would go with your best choice. Whether it's time to replace your roof or repair it, Best Choice Roofing provides top-notch roofing services tailored to meet the unique needs of Detroit homes and businesses. They serve the region and inside the city of Detroit, too. Find out more at bestchoiceroofing.com/Detroit. That's bestchoiceroofing.com/Detroit. Or call 313-474-7031. That's 313-474-7031. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Your Daily Detroit. It is a beautiful Tuesday, October 29th, 2024. I am J.R. Stays coming to you from our studio at Techtown. Today, we have a big show for you. It's in, well, a few parts. First off, I need to welcome at the table right now none other than producer Shianne Nocerini. How are you, Shianne?
I'm great. How are you, Jer?
It is good to see you.
It's great to see you, too.
It is unseasonably warm, and I am here for it.
I am not here for it. I am not happy that it's so freaking warm in October.
I have a coffee meeting later this afternoon, so I'm like trying to enjoy all the sun that I can and just trying to like push away that existential dread.
I mean, I'm fine with warm weather in the fall, but this is unseasonably warm, and I don't think it should be 80 degrees in Michigan in October, at the end of October.
Predicted to be 77. Let's get our facts right.
Hey, listen, my Alexa this morning told me, or last night told me it was going to be 80. And I said, what? So anyway, it's beautiful, but I digress.
Speaking of beautiful things, we're going to spend a little bit of time talking about Belle Isle. Our first two stories will be about that. Then we're going to turn it over to Fletcher Sharpe, talk about some sports. The Detroit Lions won. Detroit City FC is in the playoffs. And then we will send you on your way. First up, we are going to talk about the historic Belle Isle Boathouse. There are plans, according to Crane's Detroit Business, for a $30 to $35 million project. I will link to the story in the show notes because they did some good reporting on this. The Michigan Department of Natural Resources has selected a proposal led by developer David Carlton. The goal is to transform the more than 120-year-old structure into a community hub. Carlton did the Grand Army of the Republic building in downtown Detroit, among other projects. So he's got a bit of a track record. You know, we're always a little skeptical until we see the final plans. The project includes water taxis, restaurants, event spaces, and rowing facilities and sailing programs. The vision includes a public marina, a model sailboat pond, and areas for recreational activities like bocce ball and curling. And I can tell you, as someone who went with their dad to Belle Isle with his model sailboats, it's one of those things that a lot of people who are they're still adults, 20s, 30s, may not remember this, but Belle Isle used to be a hub for model sailboat racing. It is definitely a thing. We would actually make our own sailboats, go out there. Quite a fun thing. Funding for the restoration would come from a mix of investors, donations, grants, and conventional financing. If approved, the article says that renovations could begin as early as June with a targeted reopening in summer of 2027. So that would be June of next year. The proposal will be presented to the public on November 7th at the Flynn Pavilion on the island. That is something I think people are going to want to check out. This seems promising. I am still nervous until the money is together, but this is one I was really worried was going to go in the trash heap. I know that Norris Howard, our colleague, was like, it's coming down.
Yeah, I am excited but apprehensive.
Okay. This is people who've done projects before.
Yes.
The GAR is beautiful.
It is beautiful. He has follow through.
Yeah.
So that makes me feel more optimistic. I am looking forward to it being open to the public because it was a private club before.
Mm-hmm.
And I am really looking forward to some of the programming and potential restaurants that would be coming.
I have been to a few different events at the boat at that place, and it is amazing, even though it was kind of like a shabby grand.
Yes.
Because of some of the issues with the building. I have some great memories. I should find some photos of like going out onto the porches there and everything. The stunningness that this could be. And I don't know, stunningness, that's, did I just come up with a truthy word?
You came up with
stunningness.
Yes. I've never been inside. I've only ever been on the outside.
What a shame.
I know. So for the amount of time I've spent on Belle Isle to not actually be able to have gone into the boathouse, I'm looking forward to, if this project goes through, to be able to take my family there.
Let's go to the other side of the island. A new boardwalk at the Oudolf Garden was dedicated on Monday. It's part of an additional portion of the garden that includes 15,000 native plants and shrubs as part of an area called the Meadows. Now, that's over by the big, tall Carolyn, that big, tall tower there. The meadows were planted this year, and the boardwalk is in the East Meadows, funded by the Herb Family Foundation. Now, this story is a bit personal for us in a couple of ways. One, I will share that, unlike listeners of the show will know, studio dog Gabby passed away. It was part of her last day. I did not know the meadows were that the boardwalk was ready, and she had the best time on that boardwalk. Absolutely beautiful. It is ADA accessible, all those things. Absolutely awesome. And another thing is that a big part of the Oudolf Garden happening was due to a person named Maura Campbell. And Maura sent a letter to Piet Oudolf, the designer of this thing, working along with like contacts of hers and friends to make this thing happen. And Maura, it was my boss for years, and for a short time for you, but for years was mine, and was somebody who had the amazing ability to not only see a vision, but do what it takes to see it through. And that's such a rare thing. I know how much she loved her family, how wonderful it was to spend time working with her, the things that I learned from her. I don't think Daily Detroit would exist without her marketing knowledge that she imbued upon me before I started working in the corporate world. This was when I was working at the Detroit Regional News Hub, which they founded with a mentor of mine, Marge Sorge. And so Maura passed away recently, and she was such a force in the Detroit community, in the PR community, somebody who just like lit up a space. And we lost somebody important with this. And I love that there is this legacy of something that we're going to be able to enjoy for generations on the island. The Oudolf Garden will always have a special piece of my heart. And, you know, my thoughts go out to her husband, Duncan, the rest of her family. One of her daughters actually share a birthday date. We're birthday twins with. I hadn't talked to her as much in the last few years just because of life and everything else, but I owe so much of a debt of gratitude to her. I remember first met her working the Final Four, the college Final Four, when they were in town. And that opened up a whole new career path for me. And so just such a wonderful person who just always saw what could be. And I just hope that in the future of Detroit and Metro Detroit, we really enable more and more of those people who can see and execute on the future. Just a beautiful thing in a beautiful space.
Jer, those words are very moving. And I feel exactly the same way about Maura and her mentorship to get me into writing and everything. And I'm so happy that we're able to now have a place where we can go and feel her around us, because she really put her blood, sweat, and tears and love into bringing this beautiful garden to the city.
Shall we go to Fletcher Sharpe?
Let's do it. Let's talk about those Lions and DCFC.
Joining me on the line is none other than the excellent Fletcher Sharpe. He has been with us for years, through thick, through thin, through it all. Like the post office, Fletcher Sharpe always delivers. How are you, sir?
Doing pretty well. It's supposed to be getting cold now, and it's not, so I'm a little pleased with that.
You know, today and tomorrow, it's supposed to be in the 70s, man.
I mean, I'm sad for the earth because it should never be this hot this late. But I'm glad to wear shorts as many extra days as I can.
Are you a shorts as much as you can person? Because usually it's us with a little less melanin that usually get dragged for wearing shorts late in the year.
I wear shorts in December. It's from playing football and just being out in the cold for so long that, like, maybe my legs are dead down there. I'm not really sure, but like, it doesn't really bother me in my legs. Like, I'll wear a thick hoodie up top, and then I'll wear shorts. And then people will be like, well, how are you still cold? I'm like, I'm not cold down here. I had to explain it to my girlfriend recently I went outside and she's like, it's chilly. Where are your pants? I'm like, I got shorts. And she's like, but I'm like, I'm fine. Like, I'm okay here. Maybe, it's a sensitive issue or whatever. But like, if I got to have on all the gloves and the hoodie, but I'll wear some short shorts and be like, yeah, I'm good.
All right. I just got one question for you to start with. We're going to talk about a lot of things today, mostly the Lions, maybe a little Detroit City FC at the end because they made the playoffs. Congrats to them. But are the Lions the best in the NFC? Because this is the story that I'm thinking about. I have my eyes on the prize, and that is the Super Bowl. And I feel like we are the best in the NFC. Do you think that we are the best in the NFC?
I'm always skeptical. You know that. I'm always very skeptical to say stuff like that, especially this early on.
I'm saying right now.
But the numbers would say, yeah. Record-wise, they're on top of the NFC. They are top 5 in points scored. They're in the only conference division, the NFC North, that has all the teams above 500 and all the teams with positive scoring outputs, scoring more points than giving up. So, I mean, if you're in the best division and you're the best team in the best division, I feel like it's kind of hard to say that you aren't the best team.
I love to hear it. I think a lot of fans love to hear it because there's an energy around this club, whether it's you're seeing Jared Goff make things happen. You're seeing the team kind of seal up some of the issues with Hutchinson. Now, I know we played the Titans, and the Titans did not play good ball last weekend at all. It was not a great experience on their part, but whether it was the special teams, whether it was whatever, this was another stomping. Like 2 within the season. This is not something you normally see in the NFL.
I mean, I said it on the last episode. The Titans, Will Levis, Mason Rudolph, it doesn't matter who they're like. Both of those guys are not good quarterbacks, and it was really setting them up for failure. I will say they're a player for them. Arden Key, defensive end, was making some plays happen. A lot of people were like, "Hey, Lions, Titans aren't going to win any games. Why don't you go see what they want for that guy?" And he would definitely be a help. Like you said, the energy around this team is just, I don't want to say team of destiny because that feels corny. They've all bought in, and they all seem to really, like, they're moving it to one sound. It's very rare you see teams just like all click at the same exact time, all move the exact same way, truly embody the same mantra. Like, you see people say it sometimes, but it really looks like the Lions are one long chain.
Yeah. What are a couple of the things that you are excited about? And is there anything that you're worried about from that game on Sunday?
I'm not really that too worried about Jared Goff not having a very good game passing. The Titans had to sell out for one thing. It's either they're going to sell out for the pass and, blitz and blitz and blitz, or they're going to sell out for the run and try to pack the box and hope they don't get picked apart. And recently, while the Lions running backs have been doing well, Jared Goff has more touchdown passes than he does incompletions in the season, which is a mind-blowing number to think about. So yeah, you're like, this guy's been cooking, so let's blitz on the edge and make it hard for him. And they did. He, at one point, when the Lions got up a little bit, they had 9 net total passing yards. And even in this game, they kind of got out yarded by the Titans. That doesn't really bother me much. What does bother me, I know Jameson's going to come back after this next game, but like, it didn't really seem like anyone else kind of wanted the ball. Like, I don't mind for a bad game, but that can't be a thing. Like, the Packers shouldn't have seen that and been like, oh, we're going to use that same blueprint. Because if you don't have something in store to counter that, it's going to be a little rough.
You mentioned Jameson Williams. Do you have any thoughts on him real quick?
Do I knowingly think he took something? No, but I do know that he didn't fight it. And I was hoping that he would maybe try to fight it against the Titans, maybe get an appeal. But I understand why he took the suspension when he did, because it's either missing the Titans game and the Packers, and Packers should be rough, or missing Packers and the Houston Texans, who are currently playing amazing. So having him for at least one of those is fine. If he did take something knowingly, that's not smart, but also don't do that.
I just wish the drama would stop around him.
I mean, I'm not going to throw this in there with that. Like, it's not necessarily great and all the things of that nature, but it's only 2 games. He's been showing promise up until this point. If it continues on, like if he has another one later in the year for different something else or something else similar, then okay. But like, he's showing that he wants to be taking it seriously as a pro, and I'm willing to give him a little bit more rope.
One of our listeners, who is CLT Go Blue on our member-only Patreon Discord, as of Sunday night, the Lions now lead the NFL in point differential at plus 100. That is a crazy statistic to me.
It really is, because it shows how this team has kind of evolved. Normally, they're the opposite. They're minus 100 at this point, or somewhere real close. But they've, like I said, they've all bought into Dan Campbell's mindset of we're going to get in there, we're going to grind teams down on both sides of the ball. And honestly, after this Titans game, on all three phases of the game. And I think the most amazing part really isn't the 234 points scored. It's the 134 points given up. The Lions have the best safety tandem in the NFL. I know I said before it was like the best young duo, maybe. No, I saw some stats. Those two not allowed a receiving touchdown between them, Brian Branch and Kirby Joseph. Even after this game, those touchdowns were attributed to the corners. They've been locking people down back there. A ball goes into the air and it's being taken out of the air. The corners struggled this week. Not necessarily great, but they're showing promise as well. They're not backing away from the big play against receivers. They get burned sometimes. I mean, again, Calvin Ridley wasn't having a great year, and all of a sudden he turns into old Calvin Ridley against them. But they're still there. They're still making plays. If they get a ball caught on them, at least the receiver goes down right there. It's not like someone last year, Wink, was somehow 5 yards behind the receiver every time they caught the ball and couldn't make an open field tackle. At least if they're getting caught on, they're making plays to end it right there.
Let's look forward to the weekend, because the Packers, they are second in the NFC North. This is a game where we could put some distance between us and them to give us some breathing room at the end of the season. I think every game inside the division matters. But with the Packers, I never put them out of my mind because they're just one of those historic teams. I know that they're doing well right now by record, but I know they're not quite the team that they were. But I just cannot ever discount the Packers. And so that's why I'm not worried, but I am concerned that we got to make sure we just close this down.
Yeah, I mean, before this week, I was a little bit more worried. After their game where they won recently, their young star Jordan Love went out with an injury, so they might have the backup in there. They're still an explosive team, and like you said, there's history there. There are times last year where the Lions were supposed to beat the Packers, and it's like, yeah, this game should be easy. But also, it is the Packers. Like, it's not, Favre, or it's not Aaron Rodgers, but like, it's the Packers. Like, you're used to having that trauma response to seeing that cheesehead and the green and yellow, and somehow it's like the Lions shouldn't win this game. This season feels a little bit different, but again, there's still that thing of like, they are kind of spiraling out a little bit. They might have some issues.
It's also at Green Bay.
Yeah. It's Lambeau Field, and that field, whether you like it or not, the field's got like a magical aura to it. It makes you feel, I don't know, like you're just going to lose just because. Even the Lions took over Lambeau Field, and even still, it was like, wow, like that's a lot of blue. It's still Lambeau Field. It's still the Packers. So I think they should be fine. You want to see the corners play a little bit better than they did this last week, but if they play the way they've been playing before this game, they should not have any issue with whoever Green Bay puts out there.
As we record this, the Lions are 4.5-point favorites over the Packers. How are you feeling about that as a differential or a score line with this weekend?
I'm going to go a little bit bigger than that. I think the Lions win by 8, something like 28-20. Jordan Love is probably not going to play. There's a high level of concern. Malik Willis came in the last game and did well for them, but he is generally the backup quarterback for a reason. The Lions secondary plays the way it's supposed to play. Safeties make plays. Linebackers keep deflecting balls down. I think they'll be fine. And the Packers have had a hard time tackling this year. Their last game against the Jaguars definitely shows. So if David Montgomery, Jahmyr Gibbs, some Amon-Ra plays in an open field, I think they should be fine. Break enough tackles, get into the end zone, and then don't do a Lambeau leap because they really don't like that. But get the W the way you can.
That trade deadline is coming up November 5th. Do you think the Lions are going to make a move, and do they need to make a move? I still think they need to make some moves.
Yeah, they need to fix the pass rush. I know losing Hutchinson's bad. I know losing a few more players in the middle is also bad. But you got to do something. And someone said something during the game that kind of struck me as odd. And the more I think about it, I'm like, you know what? I guess I can see it. He's like, what good edge rusher on a very bad team does not want to come play for Detroit right now? And I was thinking like the Lions are a destination like that. Then I turned around and I'm like, well, They are playing. Every player who's like shown up the last few years who's been good has been like, I want to come here for the culture. And that's something I never thought they would say about the Lions. But they really need an edge rusher because while the corners are doing the best they can, if a quarterback is in a pocket for too long, even someone like Mason Rudolph, they'll start picking you apart. And if you give Malik Willis time to pick you apart, he will pick you apart. So hopefully the pass rush can hold up against the Packers, but they need to get someone pretty decent soon. I know they want to hold on to picks and try to build the team that way, but if you're trying to win now, you got to make some win now decisions.
Well, I'm looking forward to it all. I cannot wait for Sunday. There is something to look forward to on Saturday, though. Detroit City FC has made the playoffs. They're actually in the third spot. They're going to have a home game on Saturday against the Tampa Bay Rowdies. Fletcher, Sharpe, what's different about this team or the league versus the last couple of years so that they can actually have a solid playoff position?
They're scoring more. They got a new coach, which everyone heard about. They got a new coach, and he kind of switched some things up. They got a few new players. Coach has them playing a different style, and players like Ben Morris, who ultra talented, unlucky career so far with injuries, but ultra talented, quick guy, who's kind of playing with a broken confidence. He kind of helped fix it, and the players that need to step up have been stepping up. So yeah, they got a home playoff game, their first home playoff game in USL Championship history against the Tampa Bay Rowdies, who are a pretty good team. So it should be a pretty fun match to watch.
So we should not discount the Rowdies, even though their record is not the same. And I think they beat and drew against the Rowdies. And for people who don't know, because I know we've got a lot of people who are not following this every day, the Rowdies are one of the more, I would say, classic teams of the USL Championship.
They're a likable Green Bay Packers of
same colors
of American soccer history. So yeah, like it might be like, oh, the Rowdies, have lost half their games. Yeah, but they are the Rowdies. They have some championships, so you kind of got to strap up and play the right way against them because you might look past them and next thing you know, they're celebrating on your field.
I feel like beyond the Rowdies, it's kind of like three tiers in the USL Championship Eastern Conference, and that middle tier is really big. So you've got at the top, Charleston and Louisville, and they have just by points kind of like ran away with everything. And then you got a bunch of people in the middle, of which Detroit City is at the top of. And then you've got the complete and total basement, because this year it really seems that there was a very big class difference in teams.
That'll happen when certain teams who are legacy teams like Louisville and Tampa Bay and kind of Charleston to a degree as well can get players from other places to come in. It kind of inflates that. Some teams have been kind of hitting above their weight. Expansion team, Rhode Island is one of them. I'm kind of surprised to see them where they are. But also Detroit got better. Like that's literally just why they are where they are, is they got better. They brought in apparently the next goalkeeper in Saldana with the coach. Like I said, he kind of fixed Ben Morris's confidence. They brought in Ali Coote to start the year, who's now back in Ireland, so take what you will. But the players they brought in, Elvis Amo, a late loan for Kisiadu, who is, I'm surprised they were able to get because he is a legend among the league, and he's on loan from a team in the Czech Republic. And I think if you're a fan, you should convince him to learn how to converse in whatever the currency in the Czech Republic is, because maybe they need to bring him in permanently. But yeah, the team's just gotten better, and they're playing. Soccer is such a small sport where if you don't play with confidence, you are not going to win. Like you just won't win. Some sports you can overcome that with like just being more athletic or more talented, but soccer is a sport where if you don't play confidently, you're generally going to lose, and they are playing very confident.
All right, well, Saturday at Keyworth. As we are recording this, the time is not set for that match, but something to check out, and it'll be a busy weekend for sports. Fletcher, Sharpe, so good to talk to you.
Of course, thanks for having me.
All right, we are done for today. Thank you so much for listening to Your Daily Detroit. Where can people find us, Shianne?
DailyDetroit.com, Apple Podcasts, Spotify,
all the podcast places,
wherever you download podcasts.
With that, I'm Jer Stays.
And I'm Shianne Nocerini.
Remember that you are somebody. We will talk tomorrow.